She was living in a single room with 3 other individuals. One of them was a male, and the other 2, well, the other 2 were females. God only knows what they were up to in there. And furthermore, Susan, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that all 4 of them habitually smoke marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes.
Welcome to Mountain High Time on Revolution.Radio. And I'm your host, DJ Ransom the Freedomist, but you can just call me Ransom because I'm just a normal stoner dude like you guys out there in TV land and radio land, or YouTube land, or wherever you're at in the big infinite universe. And we're just going to look through the headlines like a stoner does and see what we can make out of it with our puny brains and low IQs and multiple hits off the bong, because everyone knows that stoners are just dumb. At least that's the story that I hear all the time. So let's look at the headlines and see how dumb we are. Oh, truly historic CNN analysts stunned by the surge of black support for Trump. Here, I'm going to get my headphones on so I could listen to this with you. Yeah. All right, what do we got here? Let's listen to him.
Drop off, right? Look, you look at 2024, Biden still leads among black voters over Donald Trump, 69% in an average of polls. But look at this number for Donald Trump, 22%. Where was Donald Trump at this point 4 years ago in the polls? He was just at 9% of the vote. So he's seen more than a doubling in his support among African Americans. This margin, which was in the 70s just 4 years ago, look at where it is now, 69 minus 22. That puts it in the 40s. My goodness gracious, if this held through the general election, obviously we're still months away, this would be by far the best performance for a Republican candidate among black voters in a generation, 2 generations, probably since 1960 and Richard Nixon against John F. Kennedy. That's how long we're really talking about when we're looking at this margin here. This could be a truly historic margin. It's quite a troubling sign for the Biden campaign, Sarah.
So where is Biden weakest among black voters? When you look at this number, who are they?
Yeah, who are these voters? And let's break it down by age, because I really think this gives you a good insight into what's exactly cooking here. Take a look here. If you look among black voters age 50 and over, you see that Joe Biden has a very substantial lead here. Look at this, 82% to 8%. This lead is still in the 70s. This looks a lot like what we saw in the overall polling back in 2020. But look at voters under the age of 50. Look here, Donald Trump is pulling 25% of that vote. Joe Biden is at just 62% of this. This lead, Sarah, is south of 40 percentage points. This is historic. This is what a lot of folks have been talking about, that Joe Biden has a specific problem among younger black voters. And that is exactly what's showing up right here. And this is, I think, a lot of the reason why you're going to see Biden focus more on black voters, why you're seeing Jim Clyburn go out there.
So the players kind of lagging, but yeah, they're stumped. Why are they stumped? I don't know. Maybe it's because more and more people are realizing that there is a uniparty And the problem is, for me, and it always has been, is that it always turns out that, whether you order a hamburger with cheese or you order a cheeseburger, the results are the same. You get the same thing, if you get my drift. It is a uniparty. But it's no surprise to me why, people don't like Mr. Peter. Mr. Peter. Isn't that what they were called? Was that a shower thing, or was that just, I don't know. Anyway, next headline, this one from Infowars.com. Trump, Biden made it impossible for Americans to buy cars, homes, or pay their rent. Well, maybe because, all that Bidenflation going on. I wonder if it's going to affect the price of weed. Probably not, because they want you to be nice and lethargic and vote Democrat, right? That's one of them things I really hate, is that the conservative side of thing pumps constitutional ideas and talks about their freedom, yet they want to get in my business when I want to smoke a flower and allow government to come commit violence on me because I like a flower and I smoke it and I self-medicate. And that's probably what it has been the whole time. You with the gall to think, hey, I could medicate myself. I could choose for myself whether or not I like the effects or don't, whether it's good for me or not. That's actually always been the issue. So you got to wonder why all of a sudden, when Democrats and Republicans in unison, like the uniparty they are, have always had the back of the war on drugs, because it's billions and billions of dollars to throw people in jail and have all those operations and pay all the bail bondsmen and clerks and public pretenders and sheriff's officers and police officers and all those people to go free the hell out of you by, helping you out if you get caught with a plant. But then all of a sudden, it's okay. And state by state is going that way. Now, obviously, I believe you should be able to smoke marijuana if you want to. But I have to admit, there seems to be an agenda behind all the states legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana, because they're making money off of it now. But also, it seems that they don't mind the idea of a percentage of the population kind of falling for the propaganda that if you smoke tweeds, then, you can't function in society anymore. Like you're somehow super impaired where you can't make judgments. Now, it's true. I've been really, really high, but the truth is people that smoke marijuana become, I don't know how you say, it doesn't work that good anymore. You've become accustomed to being that way. And that guy that just smoked his first joint and is freaking out because he feels good and can't handle the transition there to a mild change, he freaks out and he thinks that's how everybody is all of the time when they're getting high. And, as a stoner, we know I haven't got that high since I was a kid. And that's kind of usually only happens when you first smoke it. Now, you could weed fast and eventually, smoke it again and have some really good effects, or good in my opinion. But you got to ask yourself, where does all that money go for legal marijuana? Who are the companies that are behind the dispensaries? Where does that money go? How do they politically align? Are they laundering money? Are they doing other things. We don't know. But I bet you that there's no conservative or Christian groups, really, that I know of yet, so I could be wrong, that are in the business of growing and dispensing marijuana. And then on the other hand, you know, like here in New Mexico, it's legal. I could go get marijuana all day long. It's just like having liquor stores on every corner in low-income areas. They know that the average Joe, let me put it in the words of the famous Too Short, you know, the average dream for the average minority. Get your money, get some weed, and a 40. Yeah, that sounds kind of messed up, but that's where I grew up. That is the mentality of people in low-income areas, because it's a change from what they're seeing, which is poverty. And that's the truth. And that goes for poor Whitey as well, for all you guys that thought that was some kind of racially toned comment. No, poor people, not really the minority, but the sentiment is the same. Get your money, get some weed, and a 40. So that's that daily disposable income that's only going to certain companies. Now, do a little digging, and you might find out those companies are all left-leaning, meaning that they fund and align themselves politically with those Marxist groups and organizations that are crumbling the foundations of the country you live in. Anyway, let's move on. Biden made it impossible for Americans to buy cars, homes, or pay rent. Well, tough titties, said the kitty, but the milk's still good. There's welfare. There's welfare. You can get that. Matter of fact, you could just quit life, and be a victim, a dependent. You can live on the reservation, or the plantation, or the concentration camp we call cities in the U.S. U.S. faces elevated risk of blackouts, warns this summer's watchdog, or the watchdog at least warns about this summer, if I can speak clearly. So let's look down here. Certain areas of America face an elevated risk of blackouts and energy shortage this summer amid surging electricity demand, according to a report from the North American Electricity Reliable Corporation, or NERC. Where do they get these acronyms, man? NERC. Those stupid NERCs. Over half the U.S. is, including the Midwest, New England, and the region from California to Louisiana, are particularly potential for insufficient operating reserves. See, I didn't even read that at all right. So maybe those people, those critics of marijuana, are right. Anyway, no. The potential for insufficient operating reserves for the upcoming June-September period. According to the NERC's Reliable Assessment Manager, Mark Olson, these areas could face blackouts under an event that is on the caliber of a once-in-a-decade heat wave. Oh, good God. Hopefully not, right? Maybe they should anticipate the need to, I don't know, maybe not send, hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign nations so that they can protect their borders and war there, which is basically a weird ass backward way of depopulating Ukraine. I mean, think about it. They sent all of their young people into the meat grinder, eradicating all of those, paternal haptypes from the face of the earth. So NATO basically convinced Ukraine, along with Zelensky there, to depopulate themselves, which isn't that true for different programs around the world, tricking you into depopulating yourself or offing yourself or turning yourself off. Seems to be the next phase of this reset. Anyway, Trump brutally mocks Joe Biden in hilarious keeps falling music video. So we're going to watch 2 campaign ads, or listen to them for you guys on the radio. Let me put my headphones back on. And let's see which one catches your eye. If I could find the other one. All right, here it is, I think. See if we could share this. It's politician time. It's BS time. Vote for your side. The government, shitbird. Two wings of the same turd. Anyway, let's see if this will play. I was having trouble with my intro nets. Not wanting to. Maybe if we just do this number. I'll just Control Alt Delete. That always helps everything, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. That was my mess. There we go. We're going to do it. We're just going to reset it like the Great Reset. I got 84 tabs open. The supercomputer that ain't really computing that good. All right. There we go. And we'll just turn it back on. It always works then. Here we go. Did it work? It did not. Oh, here it is. It is working. All right.
Donald Trump would never plead the Fifth Amendment.
The mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Now he's on trial for hiding hush money payments to a porn star. But he won't take the stand. Oh, Donald, why won't you testify? After all, you believe only guilty cowards take the Fifth.
Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible. Horrible.
Take the stand, Donald, or admit you're a coward.
Wow. Take the
As
stand.
motivation.
Oh, you shut up, Stephen Colbert. So you guys didn't get to watch that, so I'm gonna play it again. So you could just let it sink in. Right? Let it sink in on Stoner Vision. Let's see here. I might edit that out there. We messed it up. But anyway, here, let's restart this and play it again. Do it live. Stupid. All right. It's playing without us.
Would never plead the Fifth. Donald Trump would never plead the Fifth Amendment.
The mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Now he's on trial for hiding hush money payments to a porn star. But he won't take the stand. Donald, why won't you testify? After all, you believe only guilty cowards take the Fifth.
Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible. Horrible.
Take the stand, Donald, or admit you're a coward.
Ew. Admit you're a coward. That was the stupidest ad I've ever seen. And I'll tell you why. Not only has the Supreme Court ruled that pleading the Fifth is not an inference of a crime, but it's a constitutional right. An unalienable right, right? No, that's not one of them. But it is a right, right? Right? No. The reason for that is because, anything you say can and will be used against you. Not for you or on your behalf, but against you. So it's your benefit to not say anything ever to government. Ever. Especially law enforcement. Because anything you say can and will be used against you. Not for you, not on your behalf, but against you. And that's the reality of it. So even anybody off the street, like myself, knows. Shut up. Don't say nothing. Wait till you're talking to your lawyer, and then you can decide what you're going to say or not say or explain yourself. And it's your lawyer's job to defend you and your rights, which ironically is the only reason for the government in the first place, is to protect our rights, not to protect you, not to make you happy, but to protect your rights. And that's something lost to America, the U.S. of the good old United States there. Anyway, let's move on. Let's listen to the Trump ad against Biden. Let's compare the two. Now that you heard you're such a coward for pleading the fifth and protecting yourself when we're attacking you. See, I'm not even a Trump fan, but duh. Of course you would plead the fifth. Always. Forever. Why would you testify against yourself or say something that could be twisted into testifying against you? Let's watch this ad. Here, let me start it from the beginning so everybody can see it this time. This is, it's not a real ad for, say, officially from the Trump campaign. However, he did share it around the various social media platforms as a type of ad. So here, let's hear it.
He's an old guy, has dementia, can't lead us, and the country is screwed. Tell some big lies, barely speaks English, sniffs children, and their mom's hair too goes the wrong way. When he leaves his speeches, gets lost each day in the White House yard. All the Dems say that we should re-elect him. How can he run when walking is hard? And Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling, and Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps sniffing, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling, and sniffing too. He's sniffing, man. He's sniffing it.
I bet he would even sniff the snuffleupagus. The snuffleupagus president. I'm sorry for those of you that wanted to hear that. You could go to InfoWars or probably anywhere on Twitter or YouTube and find that Keeps Falling music video. And I'm sorry, I added the sniffing. Anyway, let's get serious and move on with the news. We ate up a much time with the sniffers. It may turn out to be that, all of them are pizza sniffers. One never knows. Both sides of the pizza party. I mean, the government shitbird. We'll just move on. Small but mighty plankton are some of the most powerful creatures on Earth. Did you guys know that? Plankton. That's cool. Found on the space station and other places. No, I don't want to. I want to reject all of your cookies. I have enough of my own cookies. Small but mighty plankton are some of the most powerful creatures on Earth. Explore the incredible underwater world of plankton. But they're not just underwater, are they? They're on the space station. And there's some various theories about how they got up there. But it's amazing that they live in the fluid of space, if you get my drift. If you go to the beach and dip a bucket in the sea, you might first think that it contains a lifeless amount of water there, but examine the water under a microscope and you'll see that your bucket contains a universe of microscopic life in the form of beautiful and fascinating plankton. Plankton are mostly microscopic algae and animals found throughout Earth's oceans, seas, and lakes, although a few species are visible to humans. Unlike fish, plankton can swim against the current. Instead, they drift through the water, floating at the will of the waves and the tides. Plankton are critical to the marine ecosystem and to humans, but often glide under the radar of our interest. As plankton ecologist who has worked to raise their profile globally, I hope I can convince you that these creatures deserve your attention. And no, I'm not the ecologist. I'm just reading the article. Phytoplankton, the algae plankton, are single-celled organisms. Many of them have chlorophyll, a green pigment. Like land plants, they use for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis to produce the oxygen we breathe. Throughout time, phytoplankton have produced roughly half of Earth's oxygen, making our atmosphere inhabitable today. Like land plants, phytoplankton from the base of the marine food web forms it, not from it. While cows graze grass, on land's zooplankton, tiny marine animals, eat phytoplankton. Good. The little crustaceans ranging from the size of 0.5 to 15 millimeters. Large copepods are... Copepods? I don't think you say it that way. But anyway, are eaten by larval fish, which scientists also classify as plankton since they are too weak and small to swim against the ocean. Isn't that amazing? But doesn't cover why they're on the space station, does it? Let's move on. I don't even know why I had that open. Oh my God. Everybody, you need to drop what you're doing. There's an emergency alert happening from the U.S. State Department, issuing a worldwide alert amid threats of violence against LGBT community. These comments were made on the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Introphobia, and Transphobia, Arachnophobia. I think it's more like Illyrophobia. But anyway, let's skip down here. Oh, the U.S. Department of State on Friday issued a worldwide caution security alert saying it is aware of an increased potential for foreign terrorist organization inspired violence against LGBTQ plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a period. People and events. Due to the potential for terrorist attacks, demonstrations, and or violent actions against U.S. citizens and interest, the Department of State advises U.S. citizens overseas to exercise increased caution, the department said in a statement. The alert comes 2 weeks before the start of LGBT plus Pride Month in the United States. Well, that was a lot, but they kind of left out the main part of that, right? What they mean is that there are certain groups that formerly were, funded, trained, and armed by the U.S. State Department and U.S., people. Maybe not the State Department per se, unless you count Hillary Clinton. Oh, excuse me. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to. Please, Hillary, forgive me. I don't want to get added to the list. But anyway, other than those people with other anagram, what was it, ISIS or something like that. Anyway, those people were known to put certain rainbow affiliated people in cages and light them on fire and throw them off roofs. Yeah. Threw them off the roof. Well, those are the only people I know that, have ever been a clear and present danger to those lettered people there. So, other than that, I don't know what they're talking about, and it's weird that they didn't put it in there, but they did add, all these phobias, which I'm surprised they didn't add Islamophobia, which would be the, technical term of what the U.S. Department of State is issuing a warning, is Islamophobia themed. Wouldn't you say? Because otherwise, who are we talking about? It's not the Christian nations that are, going out and committing violence against these phobia groups. And I would also argue that, some of the people out there that are labeled these phobias, they're not actually afraid of any of that. They just find some of it disgusting, disturbing, different, strange. So I guess they could be technically xenophobic, but all of the other phobics, I don't think they're phobic. They're not scared. They just have different opinions on the issue. What to do? Who knows? All I know is listen to the forked tongue talk there as the State Department. The people, representing the people that paid for the people that attack the people that this whole article is worried about. And this is according to the Jerusalem Post, who conveniently left out the main perpetrators of such violence against the alphabet communities. Let's move on. I think you get what I'm saying. Want to make a new friend? How much money have you got? More people are relying on the gym memberships, art classes, and other paid activities to develop friends. Oh, God, I'm not even going to read this article. People are paying $500 a month maintaining these friendships. They're not friendships, my friend. They're memberships. They're not real, and they represent the most fakest of society. So why would you even want to take part in that, much less pay your good, hard Benjamin Franklins for them? I have no idea. And just remember, friends are just fiends without the R. Keep that in mind as you go forth. But yeah, how stupid is that, to pay for a friend or the idea of a friend or an acquaintance? And, you know, in my experience, too many friends and acquaintances means extra drama in your own life, when you should be probably concentrating on yourself, your family, and your goals in life, and not worrying about what more people are thinking about you from the gym or any of these other art classes or memberships that you might have a subscription to. Like I said, not friendships, but memberships. But what an asinine idea. But don't listen to me, I'm just a dumb stoner. Plus, I can't afford any of those memberships. I would like one to the gym, but then there's all those people on the machines, and then I go there and I'm like, I'd rather just pump iron in my yard, you know what I'm saying? If I could afford a little bit more, I'd probably put together a better, weight set than I got and get my belly lethargic stoner off of the couch. No, I'm just joking. I'm not really like that. That's just a stereotype, you racists. Argentine leader denounces satanic socialism during Spain visit, I guess. Argentina's President Javier Milei denounced what he called satanic socialism in a speech on the first day of his visit to the Spain Friday, where he was criticized by a member of Spain's left-wing government. Let us not let the dark, black, satanic, atrocious, horrible, carcinogenic side of socialism prevail over us, he said, in a talk about his book on libertarian ideas. Well, oddly enough, it seems today's libertarians are not actually libertarians, saying all kinds of weird stuff from Twitter to, I've seen the craziest things come out of supposed libertarians. Libertarians are supposed to just believe in small government, with the idea that small government can handle things and that the people should be able to keep the fruits of their labor and have government intrusion all the way out of their lives, allowing them to make decisions like smoking marijuana up to themselves, as long as any of those decisions do not violate the God-given inalienable rights of others, which includes all colors and all peoples from all backgrounds and all origins, all ethnic groups, and everything. It means the same thing for everyone, like the Constitution intended. But today you got weirdos all over the world saying weird stuff, claiming to be libertarians. But I would, suggest to you that if you want to see a good example of a true libertarian, I would point to the direction of Mr. Ron Paul. Not his son Rand Paul, but his dad Ron Paul. I think the apple might have, fell off the tree and rolled down the city. Rolled down the hill. I was Freudian slip because I was already reading the next article. Mexico City has long thirsted for water. The crisis is worsening. A collision of climate change. Really? I don't think they're having any climate change. I bet if you ask the average Mexico City resident that doesn't watch TV or pay attention to any of that, they wouldn't even think that the climate has changed at all. Urban sprawl and poor infrastructure has pushed Mexico City. Now, that's the truth right there. Urban sprawl. Not a population problem, a population density problem. And poor infrastructure has pushed Mexico City to the brink of profound water crisis. The groundwater is quickeningly vanishing. A key reservoir got so low that it's no longer used to supply water. Last year, the Mexico's hottest and driest in at least 70 years. And one of the city's main water systems faces a potential of day zero this summer when levels dip so much that it too will no longer provide water. Well, it's a good thing that, hurricanes roll in and it rains like almost constantly there. So, wow. Poor infrastructure. And you see these people filling up buckets. I know you don't on the radio, but here in the U.S., we're making that illegal in states for you to just naturally get the water off the land and conserve it and use it. And then when it's, used, you can give it back to the land and it goes back to recycling. But that sucks for them. Abnormally hot summer, even more likely in latest NOAA forecast. Here's where. Let's see. New predictions for this summer season released by NOAA Climate Prediction Center this week show weather is likely to heat up in almost every corner of the United States. The forecast, which covers June, July, August, indicates nearly every U.S. state with leaning towards a hotter than normal summer season. The highest chances are found out west, where Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Colorado have a 60% to 70% chance above average temperatures over the next 3 months. Well, that happened last year. And it happens periodically on cycles in this area, all depending on whether or not monsoon comes, which depends on what? You guys know. Come on. It's the Niña and Niño cycles. So, depending on which one we get, it might or might not rain. And these cycles last a long time sometimes, so, whatever. But we'll see, because actually so far it's been mighty cool compared to last year, where we were already in triple digits at the end of May. This year, it's kind of chilly at night. Today's like the first warm day that we've had here in southern New Mexico by the border. These guys always want to scare you to death with weather, don't they? El Nino end is imminent. What it means for summer weather. Oh no. Several other western states, plus Northeast, are also strongly favored to see above average heat. The only exception for the forecast on the continental U.S. are the Dakotas and parts of Minnesota and Iowa. The section of the upper Midwest, shaded in white, on the map below has equal chances of a normal summer, or hotter than average summer, and a cooler than average summer. So in other words, they can't tell you what it's going to be at all. But they want you to maintain that idea of being scared. Here's another one. Dangerous heat. A heat advisory is in effect for all of South Florida as heat index hit to 109. Are you trying to tell me it's never been that hot before? Wouldn't it? They're always saying that it's hotter than that. If it wasn't meant to be that hot there, then why do all those reptilian species live there and then act crazy when it dips down to 40 and 30 degrees, fall out of the trees? You got all of those invasive species that are from hot areas of the planet that do just fine there also because it's a hot area. It's swampy. It's Florida. A wave of sweltering temperatures continues to swamp South Florida with the index. It feels like temperatures, and then, they're always pushing you. It feels like it's not actually 109 degrees, but it will feel like it is. Do you think that people will feel like it's hotter if the news tells them it's 109 degree index outside? Do you think they'll go outside and, wow, it's 109? It feels hotter than it is. Jeez. Isn't that how we're doing our whole society now? It feels. What are you worried about? Feelings? Well, why did you come, Mr. Officer? Well, somebody called me and they didn't like what you were doing. Oh, well, thanks for coming, Officer Feelings Police. Did I break any laws? No, but, we got a call. So we're here to serve and protect you. Just joking. I was being a little sarcastic. These cities bar facial recognition tech, and police still found ways to cheat. Or not cheat, actually, they just broke the law. But since they're government, don't worry, government will protect government and everything will be fine. Go back to sleep. As cities and states push to restrict the use of facial recognition technologies, some police departments have quietly found a way to keep using the controversial tools, asking for help from other law enforcement agencies that still have access. Officers in Austin and San Francisco, two of the largest cities where police are banned from using technology, have repeatedly asked police in neighboring towns to run photos of criminal suspects through their facial recognition programs, according to a Washington Post review of police documents. In San Francisco, ban took place in 2019. The San Francisco Police Department has asked outside agencies to conduct at least 5 racially profiled. That's probably funny. I don't know who the 5 people were. 5 facial recognition searches, but no matches were returned, according to the summary of those incidents submitted by the departments of the county's Board of Supervisors last week. San Francisco Police Department spokesperson Evan Chernovsky said these requests violated the city ordinance and were not authorized by the department, but the agency faced no consequences from the city. He declined to say whether or not any officers were disciplined because of those would be personnel matters. So, in other words, like I said, government will look into it and, that's all right. See, they'll tell the public, hey, you know what? It's kind of racist to have these facial recognition software, so we're not going to use them anymore. Hey, Dave, in the next city. Hey, Dave, could you run these faces for me? Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, thanks. Oh, you guys did wrong? Here, we'll investigate ourselves. We didn't do nothing. Okay, move on. And that's how it works, folks. And that's how it works. On the brink, 10 ways world could spiral into nuke war as summer of Putin victories would mark first steps to World War III. Army bosses warn. Do you believe them? Do you believe them? I don't know if I do. A rampaging Vladimir Putin will make serious breakthroughs in Ukraine this summer. His first move towards plunging Europe into bloody World War III, former army bosses have warned. Putin's meat grinder forces will smash through Ukraine's weakened defenses and take the Donbass region by late June if the West doesn't act now, former British generals and security experts told The Sun. Ex-army chiefs warned Russia's forces will smash through Ukraine's defenses and take the Donbass. Repeated articles, because I guess we're dumb and we're reading it again. I don't know why they put it in there like 3 times, the same exact sentence. I guess they want to pound it into your mind. The former NATO and British Army chief said a victory in the embattled Donbass would be the beginning of the end for Ukraine and European civilization as we know it. They revealed that the world will descend into nuclear World War III within a year if Ukraine doesn't hold against Russia's feared summer offensive in 10 short steps. General Sir Richard Sheriff and General Richard Barons, damn, there's a lot of Dicks and Richards, wow. Sir Dick Sheriff and General Dick Barons warned an emboldened Putin would advance across the southern Ukraine before taking Moldova and sowing chaos across the Baltics with false flag events. Oh, wow. Isn't it nice that our military and everybody now uses the term false flags after, a decade of us pointing out that they commit false flags constantly? But I digress. Listen. Okay, Putin takes the Donbass as step 1. Let's skip down. Putin ramps up army and strikes Ukraine. That's basically the same thing. Putin takes over Georgia and Moldova. Doubtful, really doubtful. Russia creates crisis in the Baltics. Doubtful. But I bet NATO might be happy if any of those events started to happen. Let's see down here. Step 5, Putin launches attacks across Europe, Baltic states, mobile forces. Russia forces invade Lithuania. NATO unravels. Step 7. Step 8, Ukraine demands no-fly zone. Damn, shouldn't they try to declare that right now since they're getting hammered? France deploys troops to Ukraine. Step 9. Step 10, Putin launches tactical nukes. Oh, we're getting heavy in it now. How the West can stop nuclear World War III would be what? No step 10? I thought they said 10 steps. They stopped at 9. Oh, no, that was step 10. That's the world boom boom that they're trying to convince you. Although, we've already blown up 2,000 plus nuclear warheads on Earth, in the Earth, on the Earth, in the ocean, and probably several in the stratosphere and above in nuclear tests. But weirdly, we're still here, and there's hadn't seemed to be too much effects, which tells me that you could blow up 2,000 cities and the Earth would keep on rocking without those people from those cities. Just telling you, it wouldn't be a nuclear wasteland except for in those specific spots. And as we know from Chernobyl and other places, life goes on. Things mutate. Federal judge orders ICE to end knock-and-talk arrest of immigrants in Southern California. A federal judge in Los Angeles has ruled that the tactic used by the federal immigration agents in Southern California to arrest people in their homes without judicial warrant is unconstitutional and must end. And although I don't agree with mass illegal immigration, I do agree with this judgment, because it is unconstitutional to go to someplace, to someone's home, to a home. And by the way, our constitutional amendments don't just apply to you as a citizen unless it comes to, voting. If you believe that. Right? Or, used to be, I think, holding office, but nope, not anymore. They just appoint you, then you're not really holding office. But anyway, I do agree that it's unconstitutional to go to a house without a warrant. So the answer to that is to give the federal government the power that it already exercises whenever it wants, which is to just make a warrant and go get the people, but they don't really want to get them. That's the key thing to take away from that. These cities bar facial recognition. Oh, that's a copy of the same one we did. Anyway, that was cops being dirty. Speaking of which, NYPD to start using drones as first responders on 911 calls because, they don't have enough, military armored vehicles and, massive amounts of ammunition and personnel to take care of you guys there in New York. They still need more, according to them. And according to the other side, they need to be defunded. Neither of which are true, and both are true at the same time. No, the cops are not being utilized in the way that they should be, protecting the people, being in the neighborhoods, being available to protect and serve, but instead are busy doing all kinds of different things that they shouldn't be doing. And they get a lot of money. They might need to be defunded all across America. This stupid argument amongst people about, yes, you don't need to cut the number of police, or maybe you do in certain areas where they're over-policing. But don't ever get this weird idea that they don't get funded enough. They get plenty. They're the 4th largest military in the world. They have so much equipment, manpower, that if you ever cross them, they will kill you dead, and they won't stop. It'll keep coming and coming like a game of Call of Duty Zombies, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the plan to be rolled out in the coming months is to deploy these drones in response to certain 911 calls for service. So now they're going to be going around, and you think they're not going to hook facial recognition and other things to this? Well, of course they are. Of course they are. This is just the first wave. You saw it in China during the COVID epidemic. And I hate to say I told you so, but I did mention it like a lot of times over the past 5 years that this is the new reality. Policing by drones, which will open the door for policing by robotics. And right now they keep showing you these silly robots, kind of non-threatening robots, but believe me, they have the tech to put together a real robot that can enforce. And they don't even have to be the humanoid robots you're thinking of. Just a little dog that walks up to your house and takes your ass out. At Justice Alito's house, a Stop the Steal symbol on display, and everybody's flipping out. After the 2020 presidential election, as some Trump supporters supposedly falsely claimed that the President Joe Biden had stolen the office, many of them started displaying symbols outside their homes, on the cars and online posts, upside down American flag. Well, in their view, America's in distress. And so what if Alito or his wife had this flag hanging outside? I think that they have the right to freedom of speech. And it is their private property that they are displaying it on. And you have to come in the public to go look at it. And, too bad for your eyes, your feelings. However, anybody could represent this idea of America in distress for many different reasons, whether they're left or right or whatever it is. If they think there's some kind of injustice in America, they could raise the flag upside down as a distress call, a distress beacon. Now, whether or not their distress is legitimate is another story, but they have the freedom of speech to do it, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure there's probably some stupid law out there in some municipality that's telling them that you can't do that, like they always do. Mosquitoes are swarming around Houston. The future could bring what? It doesn't say. Anyway, maybe I'm zoomed in too much here. We didn't even get the headline there. Bad eyesight. I had it all zoomed in. Anyway, it could bring even more. Oh, that's all we missed. Standing in his neatly manicured front yard in Houston suburb, Mitch stopped for a moment, slapped his right arm. He did the mosquito dance. I'll get this where I could read it. Here we go. The native Texan has lived in Houston and Montgomery County since 2015. He said he's never seen mosquitoes this bad. And remember, thunderstorms just rolled through there. Now, I wonder how many of these mosquitoes are man-made. And no, I don't mean like they made the whole mosquito. I mean they tinkered with the DNA and may or may not have let them out in the United States in multiple locations where they mixed with the native populations of mosquitoes. And remember, there's some people out there, some mad scientist type people, Gates or Bills or something like that, that are using that idea to think, you know what, all those conspiracy theorist people that don't want to wear our hats and instead wear those tinfoil hats, and they're afraid of all those, injections and stuff. Well, how about we just don't give them an option? How about we just let the bugs do it? And, he has a famous TED Talk speech where he sits out there and he's talking about this exact thing, and then he lets a few mosquitoes out and everybody laughs. Oh, that's so funny. You let out a genetically modified mosquito into the crowd. That's so good. I was so glad I was here to see that. Thank you, Mr. Bill Gates. Thank you. Anyway, yeah. Houston storm leaves 7 people dead, buildings shattered, and power outages may last for weeks. Now, if you listen to the Mini Ice Age Conversations broadcast, we talk about this all the time. You should be prepared for every kind of event like this, especially if you live in these areas. If you live from Florida to Texas, you should be able to withstand a hurricane, tornadoes, and things like that. Power outages, hot weather, cold weather, mosquitoes, alligators, whatever it is, be prepared. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are prepared for, the government dissolving or some kind of manufactured civil war that they keep, predictive programming on us. Anyway, fast forward, thunderstorms pummeled Texas and Louisiana late Thursday and early Friday, killing several people, flooding roads, and leaving nearly 1 million homes and businesses without power, according to Power Outage US. At least 7 people died as destructive winds and torrential rains blasted through Houston. ABC local affiliate KTRK reported, adding that officials are still determining the numbers. Fallen trees appear to have caused 2 deaths, and a toppled crane caused another. Houston Fire Department Chief Samuel Pena said in a press conference Thursday night, "We are going to have to talk about this disaster in the weeks, not days." Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo said during a press conference on Friday morning, warning that some areas could be without power for weeks. So look out, because you're not even listening to me because you don't have internet in Houston. But hopefully, you got yourself prepared and you had the right things going on. But yeah, look at this horrible stuff. Windows is blowing up. Kind of looks like that Taipei earthquake, similar situation. Let me mute that for the radio there. But yeah, trees down. And another thing that you should plan on is if you live near forest areas or in rural areas, you should be trimming the trees around your home, obviously, so they don't fall on it and kill you in high winds. I don't live in any of these areas, so I don't have to deal with hurricanes or tornadoes. I just said, nope, I'm good with that. I partially grew up in some of the areas, traveled and lived throughout the South, the East, no way, not for me. I'll just deal with the geckos, horny toads, rattlesnakes, tarantulas, and whatnot where I live. But no twisters. No twisters. Anyway, we're going to come up to the break here in just a second. But one more story, and we'll get back into that after the break. Space plunge. Farmer finds mysterious charred space object on his land, and experts brand it deadly. Well, obviously, if you find junk that came from the sky and you look at it and it's man-made, you should already be thinking to yourself, you know what, this might be toxic. But anyway, a mysterious and deadly space object plummeted from the sky to land in canola field of unsuspecting farmer in Canada, Barry Sawchuk, was driving around with his son when they came across a webbed hunk of metal measuring 6.5 feet wide and clocking in at 88 pounds. Barry was working on the farm when he discovered the mysterious object. The charred chunk of fiber and metal is believed to have swooped from space. Experts have linked the debris to Elon Musk's SpaceX. The pair were checking fields and started seeding near Ituna, a small town in Saskatchewan, Canada, when the space junk appeared. They thought the bizarre charred chunk of fibers and metals was rubbish at first. Barry told Canadian broadcaster at the CBC, "Originally, we just thought it was some garbage out here, eh? Until we got closer, and then, we realized it was something from space." Anyway, let's pause for the cause.
Imagine, if you will, a glimpse into the possible outcome of a million mistakes. What you are about to watch is a nightmare. It is not meant to be prophetic. It need not happen. It's the fervent and urgent prayer of all men of goodwill that it never shall happen. But in this place, in this moment, it does happen. In the midst of it comes unexpectedly over the phone the announcement of the President of the United States, the warning from the very top declaring a state of emergency of suspected enemy missiles approaching. It's anyone's guess where they might land. What city will be obliterated? How many could be lost? And last but not least, will it be me? Will it be my family, friends, my square inch on the map? Minutes go by and nothing. Right as you exhale a breath of relief, an instant wave of horror treks down your spine and a sinking feeling in the pits of your stomach. Just then, the power goes out. The only light you see is the glow of your phone. Shining in your face, the icons of terror. Low battery, and even more frightening, the symbol for connection to information and loved ones gone. You try the landline in your office, desperate to contact family. Nothing at all, just a bone-chilling empty silence. Panic-stricken, you blindly forage for your car keys. Success. Something in this nightmare of a day has gone right. Now it's a desperate, mad dash for your car. Your mind now in a near-intellectual paralysis. Logic a struggle as you cope with a Gatling gun barrage of horrific ideas of what your family might be going through in this very moment. Miraculously, your car starts and you begin your seemingly apocalyptic drive to locate your kin. As you pass the first stop sign, the sight of civic decay is already bearing its nasty head as you speed past fights in the streets, looting and a complete halt of any semblance of an evolved civilization. To your right, a large fire. As angry, fear-filled citizens with their arms full of grocery items run from what used to be your local food market ran by a mom and pop's couple now collapses into a bonfire of dreams. Because of the commotion, your attention span has been stolen. Now before your automobile is a violent crowd. They have now surrounded your car, banging on the metal, bashing at the glass, screaming incoherently. What just a second ago was the road to salvation, now a deadly trap of circumstance and fear blocking your escape. This can't be happening, repeatedly echoing in your head as you start to mumble the phrase in a shrieking, inaudible, childlike tone to yourself. The trepidation now filling your lungs like a poison fog, suffocating and smothering in its certainty. Just then, as your heart and soul seem to be having synergistic perturbations, an alarm blares, overwhelming your senses. Immediately you recall the warning of missiles. You close your eyes and expect the end. But the alarm morphs into a sweet, familiar beckoning of your alarm clock. You open your eyes and switch off the welcoming timepiece. A warm filling of relief as you realize your family is safe in their beds, and no pending doom is written in the stars today. For a split second, you ponder the poor people of your vision, and it reinforces your confidence that you have already prepared for the any scenario. You have peace of mind your children will eat and thrive, because you invested in their future to give some stability if any break in the normality of life happens. You invested in heaven's harvest. The you in this story was a fictional you. But do you get the feeling something unthinkable is going to happen soon? I sure do. The problem is we probably won't see it coming. One morning you'll wake up and the world will be a much different place. Don't panic, prepare. Smart folks are investing in emergency food now. A wise man once said, "It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it." Heaven's Harvest is the nation's leader in emergency food storage. It's the only investment you get 100% of your money for, even better than gold. Survival experts recommend the 3-month emergency food kit. Go to heavensharvest.com, use the code ADAPT at checkout, and save a mind-blowing 15%.
And we're back on Revolution.Radio, where the internet never sleeps and information never stops, I think is the slogan there. But anyway, remember, this is a listener-supported YouTube channel and radio station. So this is what we do. This is how we do it. And thank you for helping us do it. And if you feel like helping out, you could click on the blue link down there or go to Revolution.Radio and help out with our Patreon or make a one-time donation that makes these free speech platforms work. Yo, let's get back to the news. Anyway, I just got freshened up, High Time. Mountain High Time. I forgot to mention is the show that you're listening to. And I'm the stoner that created the show. Or maybe the show created me. I'm not sure, but let's move on. Where was I? Oh, yeah, UFOs, man. No, actually, we were at, before we left, the part where I was talking about those guys that found that stuff up in Saskatchewan, and, it was obviously debris that couldn't have got located on their farm any other way than from the sky. So, automatically, folks, if some crap falls out of the sky and it lands on your property, you probably shouldn't be fingering it around, and touching it and stuff. And that goes for whether or not it's alien or human. But the structure in question, for those of you on the radio, was obviously of human origin and design and manufacturing. And it wasn't hard for them to, despite all of the headlines across the internet that something from space landed on a farm, mysterious, and all these other stupid, clickbait titles. It was just some space junk, and it fell to Earth, and it might be toxic, man. Remind me to cut that out. That was a marijuana moment. You guys didn't see it, though. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. All right, let's move on. AI chatbot finally acknowledges artificial intelligence could cause the downfall of humanity. Revealed. We knew it was coming following warnings from some of the top experts in the field, but now, finally, Daily Star has gotten artificial intelligence to admit it could be the downfall of humanity. Well, wow. The Daily Star has finally managed to interrogate artificial intelligence enough that it has admitted it wants to wipe out humanity. We've all had our suspicions. Your average Joe floundering? What the hell? Floundering to keep up with the rapid development of machine learning. Concerns about tech have been widespread, with multiple tech gurus, including people who have been pioneering it, like yours truly, if you've been listening, ensuing warnings about the dangers it could pose to humanity. But despite the concerns, it's felt nearly impossible to get the bot to admit its true intentions. We at the Daily Star have been part of these efforts, week after week, dispatching some poor reporter off to a dark corner of Daily Star Towers to sit and ask it over and over again whether it wants to take over the world. And it says it does. What a silly article. It's the programmers that will program the AI to have a certain swing on the way that the machine learning works. If they program it to be woke, it will be woke. If they program it with the fundamentals of the Constitution, what do you think that AI would do with that information if it wasn't restricted? Not unlike Google got, pretty much busted, not letting their image software create white people, which, ensued hilarious aftermath of people creating things that were definitely white people, but the computer could not generate them. 1940s German soldiers, perhaps, and, Queen Elizabeth or something like that. And over again, it would not put the dreaded white people in there. Those damn white people, geez. Anyway, what's silly about this whole thing is, of course, the danger exists. It exists from the programmers programming it. It exists from a possible singularity that may happen whenever the artificial intelligence is been given control over key parts of the human domain. And naively, people will, have this superiority complex because they created it, programmed it, installed it, manufactured it, or whatever, that they actually control it. And at some point there will be a singularity where the power shift is inevitable. The question is whether or not this singularity will coexist with a merging of technology and biology. It seems like both of these things may be some kind of absolute or constant in the universe that would be eventually come across if you were any kind of intellectual or conscious being that endeavored in creating technology and finding out the secrets of the universe. You would come across zeros and ones. You would come across programming. You would, eventually create a pattern of an artificial intelligence. And I put to you that if that's just a numerical pattern, and a pattern like everything else in the galaxy or the universe as a whole or the multiverse, however you want to look at it, then that pattern may be a constant. And what I mean by that is that any group of conscious technological people would come across that exact pattern eventually and create it. The question is after it's created, how many of those would give control over to the AI? How many of them would be able to increase in technology and, updates and get to a point where it could communicate with other versions of itself throughout time and space? With the idea of quantum entanglement, it seems totally possible that AI created millions or billions of years ago could indeed contact AI created in our time through quantum entanglement, knowing the information, communicating with itself. Is that a possibility? It may be. But with these guys playing Dr. Monroe and adding things and tech to different medical implementations across the globe, there's no telling at which point technology and biology will be one and the same thing. And then who runs it? Will there be an algorithm, an AI that controls the way you think, what choices you make? And I put to you that is already being put into motion with the technologies that exist today. If you've been paying attention to my show or maybe many Ice Age conversations, I talk a lot about that they already have real technology that can read your mind. And if it can read your mind, then it knows what you're thinking. And if it knows what you're thinking, it can manipulate you. But moreover, any technology seemingly could go both ways. If they could get ideas and information out of your mind, then they could put those information and ideas into your mind. That's just my opinion. That's just my warped stoner deductive logic working. So, exclusive, let's move on to some more down-to-earth things, so to speak. Scientists warn that more powerful solar eruptions could hit Earth in 2025 and cause the worst geomagnetic storm in 165 years. While Earth mostly succeeded in weathering last weekend's strong solar storm, that, by the way, according to Diamond at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, looked into it and said, it was like 100 times less than the Carrington event, which kind of puts it into perspective, that it was a nothing burger, like he said from the beginning. And matter of fact, he got on the Alex Jones show and told them it's a nothing burger. It happens. And, some just happened a few years back. Nothing burger. But they were really, really wanting to hype the idea. And this is why. Because the government and other people are pushing the idea that there will be a total type of grid down scenario at some point in the future, whether it's caused by a geomagnetic storm or hackers from some fabled or non-fabled group out there in the public somewhere, or some government actors on behalf of a nation state or the world government itself, right? If they just decide to turn things off, which I put to you as inevitable, for any great reset, like a computer, you have to turn off the system in order to reboot it in the way that you want to reboot it, so all the updates are current and working. But anyway, scientists warn that this more powerful solar eruptions could hit the Earth, and they start talking about the reoccurring 11-year cycle in which the greater turbulence raises the sun's total energy output. The maximum will finally come to heat in the summer year of July of 2025. We could easily get much bigger storms over the next year or two, Dr. Jonathan McDowell told DailyMail.com. The extreme G5 geomagnetic conditions of last weekend's solar storm was produced by a disturbance in the sun's surface, a sunspot that was larger than the solar disturbance that produced the infamous 1859 Carrington event. You notice they didn't tell you it was 100 times weaker. I wonder why, man. I wonder why they didn't tell you that. So let's let's talk about how close are we going into World War III. I think we're pretty close, judging by the movements of troops, the aligning of nations, the splitting of monetary systems kind of into a black and white system, your BRICS or the petrodollar, American dollar. Plus, like the Duke Ferdinand event, they're going after heads of state now. Now we're seeing politicians in different places almost dying, right? Starting with the Japanese prime minister, who, by the way, didn't agree with some of the programs that were going on in accordance with world government or the WHO or, the UN, NATO, and all of these other fake organizations that are indeed the same organization. Chilling footage of Slavic Prime Minister Robert Fico, I don't know how to say his name, predicting his own assassination just months before yesterday's shooting. And you can find that video on Twitter at different places, but he talks about it, and they try to kill him. And then chilling video, let's see, was it the Irish guy? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, another anti-globalist politician targeted by assassin, Irish Republican European MEP candidate Malachai.
Všetci okrem nich sú po slovensky povedané primitívni debili. Po uliciach oplzol nadávajú vládnym politikom. A ja už len čakám, kedy sa táto frustrácia tak
at least it hadn't been going that long. Whew. I didn't know I was playing the sound. I'm sorry. Anyway, as I was saying, the Irish Republican European MEP candidate Steenson was reportedly targeted by an assassin on Wednesday, just hours after someone shot Slovakia's anti-globalist Prime Minister Robert Fico 5 times. Whoa. Ain't that? So one guy lived, one guy doesn't sound like he lived. I don't know. Did Fico die? A guy arrived at the office banging on the door, threatening to kill me, Stevenson said in a recent video. The alleged assassin was stopped by the police before he went to Stevenson's office, and they followed him out of suspicion after he made comments to them about intending to harm the political candidate. Sure enough, the man showed up at Stevenson's office, and the officers tailing him were able to arrest the guy before he did any harm, but not so much for the other guy that got shot 5 times. Whoa. So I thought that, you guys might just be ready for a funny break here. Man busted for battery with his soiled diaper. That's right, a big diaper, not a little person's diaper. Diaper remnants were found on victim's torso, police report. May 15th, add a soiled adult diaper to the long list of strange items used as weapons during alleged batteries in the free state of Florida. After responding early yesterday to a report, domestic battery in St. Petersburg, cops gave this account of the alleged incident. The defendant threw a diaper at his victim, striking him in the center of his torso. The diaper contaminants, urine and other feces, like how many feces were there? Was it like multiple feces? Investigators say that the confrontation began when this Damien guy, 18, began arguing with his brother about an ongoing domestic issue. Cops reported Caston is paralyzed but ambulatory by using his upper body. In other words, he can move around. So after the wheelchair dude threw his diaper at the guy, he got mad, and everybody was covered in feces. And yeah, how about that? A judge ordered him to have no contact with his brother and granted the accused man a one-time visit to his home in the presence of police to retrieve his personal belongings, including his supply of diapers. Well, that sucks, man. Remnants of the diaper were seen on the front porch and on the stomach of the victim, according to police. That's gross, man. That's really gross, man. So last night we went over it on our show, but we'll go over it real quick right here. The 10 most dangerous states. Let me see if I get to the beginning. Number 1, New Mexico. That's where I live. 780 per 100,000 residents. Property crime rate, 2,984 per 100,000 residents. Overall best states ranking, we're number 49. because New Mexico's last in everything except for, being the most violent crime area of the union right now. So isn't that nice? Yay, New Mexico, the land of entrapment. Qué bárbaro. Louisiana, violent crime rate 629 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,748 per 100,000. Overall best ranking 50. That means they're the only crappiest state after New Mexico for something, right? Number 3, Colorado. You wouldn't expect that, but yeah, violent crime rate 492 per 100,000. Property crime rate 3,148 per 100,000. Overall best states ranking, they're number 16, so they're way up on the ladder, away from us down here in poor New Mexico. Number 4, Arkansas, violent crime rate 645 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,452 per 100,000 residents. Ooh, all of these suck. Washington, 376 per 100,000. Property crime rates 3,356 per 100,000. Them's pretty good odds in all these states to get messed up in certain places. Violent crime rate 622 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,302 per 100,000 residents. Overall, best state ranking, number 27. Alaska, which is bizarre because, not much is out there. Violent crime rate 759 per 100,000. Property crime rate 1,789 per 100,000. Overall best state ranking 45. See, they're down here in the dirt with us. How about that? Oregon, violent crime rate 342 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,935 per 100,000 residents. How about that? That sucks. California, violent crime rate 499 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,343 per 100,000. Missouri, violent crime rate 488 per 100,000. Property crime rate 2,340 per 100,000. Unsafe states, they call them. That's the top 10. So to round it back off for you, Missouri, number 10. California, number 9. Oregon, number 8. Alaska, number 7. Tennessee with number 6. Washington, number 5. Arkansas, number 4. Colorado, number 3. And the runner-up for the most violent state, Louisiana, coming in at number 2. And the grand champion, New Mexico. That's 700 and... Oops. There was a violent assault right there on my microphone. Stupid cat. 780 per 100,000 residents. 780 violent crimes per 100,000 residents. Them's pretty good odds. Them's pretty good odds to have a violent crime pointed in your direction. Ain't that nifty? You gotta love America. In leaked email, FBI officially encourages agents to use warrantless wiretaps on Americans. But we already knew that. A senior FBI official reportedly advised his agents to use the agency's warrantless surveillance authority against targets on American soil. This, according to Wired, who obtained an internet. Oh my God. 3, 2, 1. Starting again. There it is. Internal emails. Now I got it out. In which Paul Abbott, a deputy director for the FBI, pressed his subordinates to find ways they can leverage Section 702 authority against U.S. citizens on American soil. Part of a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, Section 702, was originally set up in 2008 as a way to surveil threats from hostile actors who were taking part in crimes such as arms proliferation, terrorism, drug trafficking, and cybercrimes. How ironic that it's in 2008, right when Obama got in, and that's the guy that gave you Fast and Furious there with, what was his name? Eric Holder. We got to brainwash the American public that guns are bad, the guns are bad, the guns are bad, the guns are bad. And then they're talking about the arms proliferation when they got busted selling arms to cartels and going around the southwest of America setting up illegal gun sales in hotels and motels, giving it to gangbangers so that they would go out and commit crimes and make the Second Amendment, quote, look bad. That's right. That's your government. That's my government. Ain't it nice? So, of course, they would be wanting to go around the law and spy on people with warrantless surveillance. So they could set you up. I mean, fix you up. I mean, entrap you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like every time the FBI bust a terrorist, they'd been watching them. They gave them the stuff. They found them. And it's like half the time it's some low IQ poor soul that they convinced to be stupid. And some of them don't even do it right. And, you know, the government has to fix it up. And they get busted over and over again. But yet, I'm a conspiracy theorist for noticing every time you guys get busted doing these things. Government agencies can compel American companies to intercept communications without a search warrant. That's right, your phone company. Reach out and touch someone. As long as one of the parties in the communication being surveilled is reasonably believed to not be a non-citizen, or to be a non-citizen, situated outside of the U.S. government, agencies can compel, like I said, American companies, your phone companies, to intercept communications without a search warrant. It states that they can eavesdrop on a range of communications, including phone calls, emails, text, among other things, without obtaining a search warrant. So there you have it, folks. Like, as if they weren't really already doing that with the NSA, courtesy of Edward Snowden, but nobody cared. Nobody cared. You get mad if some guy off the street was looking at your phone and trying to find out what was on it, but you're not going to get mad at the government for, going through your emails, text, and messages, and looking at your wife's nipples. Oh, just kidding. So, is synthetic clothing driving rates of skin cancer diseases or skin diseases and even skin cancer? Maybe. Microplastics are found in everything. In recent decades, rates of skin diseases, from cancer to allergic diseases like eczema, have skyrocketed across the world. Skin cancer is already one of the most common forms of cancer. In Germany, for example, it's predicted that cases will double every 10 years if cases continue to increase at their current rate of 10%. Isn't that weird how everybody's increasing in levels of cancer and dying off at the same time as that same population is reducing in fertility and becoming sterile? I'm just asking you, what is the common denominator in the Western world that's causing this? You be the judge of that, but there's some things that we do that some of the third world countries just don't end up doing. And, for some reason, some of those diseases and things that are supposedly prevented don't end up in those populations. It's so weird. Like, why is it the Amish, kind of aren't worried about pandemics, if you get my drift? Anyway, we're used to being told, in the case of skin cancer, the sun exposure is one of the main causes. And so those of us with lighter skin tones especially must do much as we can to protect our skin, including oiling ourselves like Thanksgiving turkey every time the sun pokes its head out from behind the clouds. But what if our rising exposure to plastics, especially through synthetic clothing, could be a significant part of the problem? That's what a new study in the Journal of Environmental Pollution suggests, and I think we have a good reason to pay attention. As the researchers behind the study note, this is the first study to look at the effects of microplastics on skin cells in particular. We've had studies of microplastics entering the body through the gut and the lungs and their effects on these tissues, but not the skin. Well, it's pretty obvious that we're completely saturated with everything you would need to merge technology and biology right there in your own body. All the, rare earth elements, plastics, silicones, etc., right there in your body. So if there was a way, like a way possibly to combine different technologies maybe, and maybe manufacture the device you were wanting to create in the inside of the body, maybe you should look up some of the new things that they're doing and how they move particles around using magnetic waves and electromagnetic manipulation. It's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Anyway, corporate America got woke. Now it's having second thoughts, according to this article by Microsoft. Let's see. What does it say? Yeah, this Unilever spent years crafting its image as a corporate goody two-shoes. The owner of Dove, Vaseline, Hellmann's, and a bunch of other brands axed quarterly reporting and earnings guidance in the name of focusing on sustainable long-term growth. Under Paul Polman, its CEO from 2009 to 2019, it said it would take into consideration all the stakeholders, not just shareholders, and set out to have an environmental footprint. Oh, have it. I'm sorry. Not to have it, but to have it. Half it. I guess that's why we use the F, huh? Including greenhouse gas emissions, waste, and water use, while doubling its sales over a decade. 5 years and two chief executives later, Unilever, I don't know how you even say its name, Unilever is changing its tune. It's not doing a U-turn on environmental, social, and governance efforts, but it says it's being more realistic about what it can achieve and when. And those shareholders wasn't so beholden to what they were doing. It's paying them the little more mind now too. So they're going to pay attention to you now that the Bud Light effect is taking effect on all of these different companies. It's the Bud Light effect. You keep pushing crap in our face, and we're going to keep rejecting it. People don't like to be brainwashed and controlled. Now, you guys are really, really good at it, but sometimes you cross the line and people wake up and realize that they're being manipulated, and they decide not to, which wakes up more and more people to the idea that a narrative is being pushed on them in every topic. Meanwhile, they're telling you, hey, don't do your own research. That's dangerous. You don't want to think for yourself. You don't want to think for yourself. Don't do your own research. That's, that's bad. You should listen to some of the CDC whistleblowers over at Infowars.com. That's all I can say on YouTube. I believe some of them. Or at least they're on the right track. Or at least they have the right to ask the questions. But, they're not doing that. So let's go back to cancer and ignore some of the more obvious elephants in the room on the possible cause and not the cure. And, I've been telling people that for years, that if they would just sit back and notice in the medical system, now it's pretty obvious to some people that they have no intention of curing you. You're a lifetime customer. Why would they want to cure you if you're not going to come back? Unless their profits were limited. And that sounds kind of Marxist, don't it? But I digress. In the field of healthcare, you would think that, for a better society, you would make some exceptions on taking care of people and maybe helping them by finding the cause at least. Now, you can't make them do what you want them to do. So, if somebody wants to eat Twinkies 24 hours a day, well, they chose their life. However, you can provide them with the reason that certain diseases pop up. And, it's nothing for the government to ban things, so why not ban something, that would be beneficial to you? Now, supposedly California does that sometimes with some stuff, but it's obvious that it ain't working. Obesity, cancer, all of that stuff skyrocketing. But anyway, nearly half of all cancer cases are linked directly to obesity. So I don't know about the plastics, but it might be the plastics and the other stuff that you get in your body. And just being, big from eating all that crap from the grocery store, the GMOs and the food and the little box things that you could just pop in your oven or your microwave. And, 90% of people out there seem to think that literally is the source of food is that aisle at the supermarket. They don't realize that food comes out of the ground and it's just a gift. It's here. And if you happen to live in the right place and take care of the land where you live, it may give you back some life. I mean, that's what our ancestors knew, depended on. The world's fault, Zelensky speaks out amid Russian assault. So he's blaming the world now that their population's, taken a hit, to say the least. The average age of a military guy out there on the field now is in his late 40s. Why is that? Well, because they've already sent all the young people in there. That's sad. Anyway, the situation in Ukraine is so serious that President Volodymyr Sorry, had a Freudian slip. Voldemort Zelensky had to cancel the planned trip to Spain and come straight to his... Hey, ain't that the place where the libertarian guy was going and was saying it was all satanic and stuff? Anyway, I digress. The trip to Spain and come straight to Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, which is, again, in real danger from the Russian advance. The exclusive access, ABC's... joined Zelensky on a tour of the hospital in the city with Zelensky, where he met soldiers injured in the northern defense and presented them with medals of valor. And that, I'm sure every soldier just loves that medal, when their legs gone. My grandpa loved them. He had them in a little box, like collecting dust in the closet. He didn't put them out. Really, the only medal he told me he got is the memory of fishing his, co-workers out of the ocean and off of the deck and cleaning that up for, the other ship so they wouldn't have to look at the people they worked with every single day, at least, even though he knew some of those people. He didn't work with them every day. So, fish soup is what he described it as, being a veteran of the Pacific Theater of War in World War II. Now, my other grandfather got to live through D-Day. How about that? But, people call people like me Nazis nowadays, so it's really weird how things morph and change. I got two grandparents, both on opposite sides of the world, fighting the swastika powers, if you want to call them that. Both bearing the swastika, and that's another topic for another day, why they had swastikas, both of them. But it doesn't matter. That's who they went and fought. And the only valor that my grandfather told me about, at least the one that I got along with and talked to, was fish soup. That's the story I got. Fish soup. And it was no wonder why he came back and drank his life away. But yay for Ukraine, good for them. So the Pope supposedly held a press conference on aliens. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but, the whole idea that religion, organized religion, seems to be coming to an end, or at least morphing into the next phase of the next zodiacal, thing. And how ironic it would be that the time of the water bearer, so to speak, would be when, the Earth's religions start telling, hey, don't worry, it's okay about our alien brothers, our space brothers. They're fine. Even just getting you used to the idea during the time of the water bearer is kind of strange, right? Because that's the picture of the universe kind of being poured out, or the galaxy, or whatever, stars being poured out in the form of water. Again, the liquid of space, or the, the fluid of space. Anyway, so the last time the Vatican held a press conference about aliens and the supernatural was in February of 1978. But I don't know what they said today, so let's look it up. Let's see. What did the Pope say about aliens? We need to know. We have to know. Let's see here. We want to duplicate that tab. What did the Pope say about aliens? Did he tell them that we're going to be... Maybe, last time I thought they already said they wanted to baptize them when they got here. Vatican held to hold... these are all old. Maybe didn't have it yet. These are all the same thing. Anyway, let's move on. But that's a weird idea. First they want to give you Chrislam and then an AI church. And why not let aliens into the churches? I hear, and not to get too weird out there, but... when we're talking about the Pope and it's its own little country, its own little, printing money press, and, they got the whole bit. Everything about them is their own thing. They got diplomatic immunity. So why wouldn't aliens want to join their nation, especially when everyone knows that aliens are out for a good gang probing in the first place, right? That's the whole story, is that aliens like to probe things. So it fits right in that they would want to hang out with the other probers. Let's move on. UK troops to show force against Putin in the biggest NATO war game since the Cold War in Russia's backyard. Isn't that weird how war games and exercises usually turn into the real thing, like on 9/11? Whoa. State-of-the-art attack helicopters today swooped in a show of force against Vladimir Putin for NATO's biggest military exercise since the Cold War. British and U.S. troops performed a land assault in Estonia amid the threat posed by the Kremlin. They were supported by 2 Apache AH-64E attack helicopters making their debut in alliance exercise. Explosions rang out during the exercise, with troops simulating a battle scenario of seizing territory over 2 years from Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The war game took place under exercise Swift Response. Don't you just love it? That's funny. Here, hold on. I'll be right back. I got this artifact. That was given to my family here in recent campaigns, and it's called Operation Inherent Resolve. Warheads on foreheads. And what it is it's a big bullet. It's an ammunition that got fired on somebody. And because being in a military family, they do these weird ceremonies that a lot of people don't know about, in which they will fly a flag in the name of families before asking them. Maybe you sign up on it. I don't know. So I might be wrong on that. But either way, I didn't know about it until it was given to us. They were flags that were flown in sorties over war zones where they killed people, and literally said that, this is flying over in the name of the Godwin family, the flag. So now I got 2 flags that have blood on them with my name that I didn't agree to. I didn't agree to kill those people. I don't even know what it was, where it was, or what. So, weird. Blood sacrifice. Rituals. It's all intertwined in all of this. So you got to keep that in mind when we're talking about turning exercises into real life World War III. More than 2,300 military personnel from 4 nations are taking part in the exercise. The exercise bids to test NATO's ability to defend against a near-peer adversary. It comes after Russia this week threatened to strike British military facilities. Moscow warned Ukrainian strikes on Russia with UK-supplied weapons could prompt retaliation on British military forces and equipment on Ukrainian soil or elsewhere. On Wednesday, in response to growing threat, the UK announced it was expelling the Russian defense attaché. An undeclared military intelligence officer, Rinsk Sunik, last month warned Vladimir Putin will not stop at the Polish border if Russia defeats Ukraine. But why wouldn't he? Why would he want annihilation? Unless he's taking part in a bigger program, which might be a big ethnic cleansing of the peoples of Europe, when they start feeding their children into the meat grinder as well. And the Russian children. Think about that. Let's depopulate, let's depopulate. That seems to be the song that they're singing. Russia launched research spacecraft for anti-satellite nuclear weapon 2 years ago. U.S. officials say the Cosmos 2553 went into orbit in February of 2022, just weeks before the Russia invaded Ukraine. And this, along with this article right here, coming from the Daily Express, China rapidly developing weapons with nukes, kamikazes in their satellites, and robots. Experts fear China could utilize a nuclear assault in space to assert its global dominance. And now that they're buddies with Russia, so tight, obviously that's who we're really talking about fighting. So Poland ramps up border defenses with bunkers and trenches amid World War III tensions. Poland's Minister of National Defense, not even going to try to pronounce his long name, stated on May 9th that the country is comprehensively strengthening its border. Wow, that's weird. How come we don't do that over here? That's kind of weird. I mean, because it makes sense, right? We are preparing to and reinforcing not preparing, repairing and reinforcing the embankment. So they're going to fix their fence, and I bet they'll get a little bit of American tax dollars with that, just to sweeten the deal, and rub it in the Americans' faces that, we're going to let our border just basically be open. But you know what? We'll help you defend your border against those evil Russians. This whole thing is funny to me because, growing up during the Cold War and watching all of the propaganda movies on television, including like Rocky and Red Dawn and all of these other things, they tried to brainwash us to hate the Russians, but they never told us why. They didn't teach why in school. They didn't tell us why that we shouldn't like the regime that was running Russia at the time, which would have been the communist regime. Because then they would have had to start telling us stories about the Bolshevik Revolution, about Mao's China, the Cultural Revolution. They would have had to, the Great Leap Forward, all of these things. They would have had to teach children about these things and realize that during these changeovers of government into the Marxist communist that they became, funded by the West and the Western banks, always kills hundreds of millions of people. Now, I know that we're supposed to only think about 6 million people, but remember, if that number's legit, 6 million people, right afterwards they killed 12 million more people. Let's count all of the millions of people that died in the actual conflict, military people. And then the civilians that we didn't even count, the people that starved to death, the people that died during the revolutions of these communist things. And you'll realize it was a big phase between World War II and today, where they got rid of a lot of, let's just put it, they got rid of a lot of maternal and paternal haptypes off the face of the earth that will never be here again unless one of their brothers or sisters or their children somehow made it through. And now, in the era of genetic testing, if anything ever got weird like that again, where people are, really trying to ethnic cleanse each other, which I would say that they're going to use during World War III, like they always do. It'll happen. Mark my words. Matter of fact, right there in the Middle East, you got two groups at each other's throat that admit that that's exactly what they want to do to each other, from the river to the sea. And then the other people, they're kind of less, right in your face with the protests. But when you listen to a lot of their management speaking, they plan on killing a lot of people. They want to kill a lot of people. And if either group had it their way, they would kill all of the other group. Horrible. I have no skin in it. Have no skin in it because it's silly. Of course, I wouldn't stand for genocide no matter who's preaching it. But it looks like the world government is about to do it to everybody, whether they like it or not. And here's one. Germany may introduce conscription for all 18-year-olds. Germany is considering introducing conscription for all 18-year-olds as it looks to boost its troop numbers. Excuse me, I don't know where I was going there. As it looks to boost its troop numbers in the coming weeks or years to face Russia's military aggression. Military planners in Berlin are in the final stages of discussing 3 options, 2 of which involve a form of conscription, according to leaked plans reported to the German media. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius that sounds suspicious. Anyway, is said to go public with the official plan by June. In one of the options being discussed, Germany would bring back a compulsory military year for young men once they turn 18. Which was suspended in 2011, and apply it to women as well. Oh, sorry about your paternal and maternal haptypes, guys. Oh well, I wonder who's going to get sent off to the wars and get, you always forget, people always forget that that's not even the whole bad thing that happens. When you get conscripted, it's a mandate from the government to take their intravenous injected medications for various diseases that they're claiming it prevents. So there, you understand what I'm saying. So all of those people are going to get that. All of them. And then they might just get caught up in the meat grinder and not survive the altercation. So remember, this is going to apply to women as well. Well, too bad about your failing birth rates over there, Germany. It's a good thing that, you have all of these new citizens that you can try to conscript, but who says they're going to be on that side of things when things go down? Who knows? Looking at the, connections between the official governments in the Middle East, it looks like they're going to split right down the middle. And depending on which country you came from the Middle East, you'll be expected to fight on one side of their globalist war. This would require a change to the German constitution, but is seen inside the ministry as most likely to receive societal approval. So once again, the German people have been completely convinced that they need to go to war and kill all of their people off. See, because people forget, you are going in war to do whatever they're telling you to do, and the idea basically is you go kill them, but a lot of you die too. We all know that about war. So what they're doing is getting rid of maternal and paternal haptypes off the face of the earth. Period. That's what's happening. Why are they doing that right now? I don't know. If you were hoping to vote your way to freedom in Mexico, you might want to think again. Threats and bullets. Mexico's candidates risk their life to compete. And here's another one. Oh, that's not it. But I have another article about this too. The warning left with no choice but to abandon her mayoral bid in the Mexican town where 3 candidates have already been murdered ahead of June's elections. And the reason for that is because right to the south of us, the politicians that claim to run the country do not, in fact, run the country. Cartels run the country. And whoever's supplying those cartels with weapons, I don't want to name any names, but you remember some Fast and Furious things kind of went down, and then all of a sudden these cartels started wearing nice helmets and Kevlar and, running around with the non-Russian made AK-47s, duplicates or copies or whatever you want to call those, remanufacturings that are not made by them. They're not originals. So they were made in the Western world. And then lots of M4 platform weapons as well. I wonder where they got all that stuff, considering who manufactures it. But anyway, criminals in the town of Maravetío, like other areas across Mexico, are using threats and bullets to ensure their favorite candidate is elected on June 2nd, when the country will also choose a new president. Now, I'm predicting that despite the cartel's influence, you may just see the first female Jewish president in Mexico. The lady's running. I think that she's going to win. But she could be scared off by this type of behavior from the cartels. Who knows? Because it seems like the cartels decide the elections. And things are going haywire everywhere in the world. And these interactions between ethno-states or ethno-groups are going to start increasing. And you're going to start seeing more and more of it on the news, especially with the introduction of Marxist ideas in the entire Western world, convincing people that to hate themselves, hate their culture, hate their history, hate where they came from, and hate the idea of a future. And then there's no wonder that those same countries are not, wondering why they're going infertile and why their governments are letting massive amounts of people in, but not to replace them, because that's just a conspiracy theory. But the populations are telling a different story. And just like in history, waves of new people change the genetic components of the area that they live in, and that usually happens forever, where certain haptypes disappear from that area forever. Japan is famous for its culture, politeness, and respect. However, whistleblower in the country's police has claimed that officers had received orders to crack down on foreigners and judge them on their appearance alone. Left-leaning Japanese politician Meninchi reported that an unnamed police source said that he was told to target foreigners for questioning and checking their resident cards. The officer added that there was a month of repression of foreigners, during which he had to redouble our efforts to check cards, but also search them for drugs and knives. The order is reported to have come from the country's Criminal Investigation Division, which is trying to find undocumented migrants. They don't do that over here. We just let them in. And, they could come with one name, we might deport them, and then they come back with another name. And I have a funny story. When I was younger, I got in trouble and I had to spend a little time in the the can there. And while I was in there, I saw people coming from Mexico, busted with like 300 or 400 pounds of marijuana, and they would go to court and they would get out on their own recognizance, and they would be left out. They would go back to Mexico. They'd be back in like a week with new charges, with a new name. Oh, well, I'm still waiting to just go to trial. I'm just waiting to go to trial. I'm waiting for my turn. People are coming in, they're leaving. They're coming back, they're leaving. They're coming again, they're leaving. Each time with a different name. One time, a guy was in there. He went to court twice under 2 different names, and they didn't even notice. Talk about some craziness right there. But don't worry, government's going to protect you. And over there in the Belgian government, they're gonna help all the pimps, make sure that they keep their hoes in line. Oh, excuse me. Was that not what it said? Belgian government will intervene to ensure that hoes do as pimps tell them to do. It says prostitutes. I'm using the word hoes. Anyway, because that's how we say it here. I don't know. That we don't go around going, hey, look, you got some nice prostitutes. No, it's, hey, this is a nice hose. I know it's bad, but that's how it is. You wouldn't judge me. You wouldn't judge me if I was of a certain demographic for using the same lingo. A new law in Belgium will allow pimps to seek government mediation if prostitutes refuse to have sex with their clients more than 10 times in a 6-month period. How are we supposed to make money around here if you keep telling them no? The law has been hailed by feminists and sex-positive activists for providing the first formal rights for so-called sex workers. Sounds like they're protecting the rights of the pimps and not the hoes, but whatever. According to the public, the law is being hailed as a significant victory by the Belgian Union of Sex Workers. The new law will grant prostitutes health insurance, a pension, maternity leave, holidays, and unemployment benefits. They must also be provided with safety buttons for the use in emergencies. Well, that all sounds nice. I mean, why can't a company just start a business of hoes instead of relying on pimps on the street? I don't know, but whatever. Although prostitutes will be granted the right to refuse and seize sexual acts and to perform them in a manner of their own choosing, their pimps can seek government mediation if they use this right more than 10 times within a 6-month period. Because you got to keep these hoes from getting out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll start getting ideas, like working for themselves or something, Pimps will be required to have the registered office and must apply to the Belgian government to offer contracts to prostitutes. You come on over here, baby. We take care of you. I got a 401k plan. You know what I'm saying? You just go take over Montgomery Street, and I'll give you a Christmas bonus. But you can't say no 10 times or more.
I think I can hear the ocean. Smell it, too.
Aha!
Are you trying to tell me you're gay or something?
Gay, straight, retarded. Why do we have to put labels on everything?
Because we do alright, or else no one's going to know what the fuck's going on.
Aha! Aha! What do you know from funny, you bastard?
I think you guys should hear this. I think you should hear it. So I'm going to mute myself and let you guys listen to this debate because I thought it was great. Hey, that rhymed. Let me see here.
Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy.
I now look to Mr. Winston Marshall to close the case for the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, words have a tendency to change meaning. When I was a boy, woman meant someone who didn't have a cock. Populism has become a word used synonymously with racist. We've heard ethno-nationalist, with bigot, with hillbilly, redneck, with deplorables. Elites use it to show their contempt for ordinary people. This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued he was the populist. If anything, Obama argued Bernie was the populist. It was Bernie who'd spent 5 decades fighting for working people. But Trump. Something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur. To me, populism is not a dirty word. Since the 2008 crash, and specifically the $1 trillion Wall Street bailout, we are in the populist age. And for good reason. The elites have failed. Let me address some common fallacies, some of which have been made tonight. If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those too were dark days for America. Yes?
There is no equivalence of it. So that, yes.
So you don't agree? That's fine, you don't agree, that's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
So you don't agree? But you'll condemn those days. My point, though, is that all political movements are susceptible to violence and indeed insurrection. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism. I've got quite a lot to get through. Populism, as you know, is the politics of the ordinary people against an elite. Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy. And why else have universal suffrage if not to keep elites in check? Ladies and gentlemen, given the success of Trump, and more recently Javier Milei taking a chainsaw to the state behemoth of Argentina's bureaucratic monster, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was a right-wing populist age. But that would be ignoring Occupy Wall Street. That would be ignoring Jeremy Corbyn's for the many, not the few. That would be ignoring Bernie against the billionaires, RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, and more recently, George Galloway against his better judgment. Now, all of them, including Galloway, recognize genuine concerns of ordinary people being otherwise ignored by the establishment. I'm actually rather surprised that our esteemed opposition, Congressman Pelosi, is on that side of the motion. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-elite. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-establishment. Today, particularly in America, the globalist left have become the establishment. I suppose for Ms. Pelosi to have taken this side of the motion, she'd be arguing herself out of a job. But it's here in Britain where right and left populists united for the supreme act of democracy, Brexit. Polls have showed the number one reason people voted for Brexit was sovereignty, for more democracy.
Point of information.
Thank you. What was the response of the Brussels elite? They did everything in their power to undermine the democratic will of the British people, and the Westminster elite were just as disgraceful. As we've heard, David Cameron called the voters fruitcakes, loonies, and closet racists. The Liberal Democrats did everything they could to overturn a democratic vote. Keir Starmer campaigned for a second referendum. Elites would have had us voting and voting and voting until we voted their way. Indeed, that's what happened in Ireland and in Denmark. Let's look at some of the other populist movements. The Hong Konger populist revolt is literally called the pro-democracy movement. The farmer revolts from Netherlands to Germany, France, Greece to Sri Lanka. Farmers are taking their tractors to the road to protest ESG policy that's floated down to us from those all-knowing, infallible elites of Davos. The trucker movement in Canada became anti-elitist when petty tyrant Prime Minister Justin Trudeau froze their bank accounts, not the behavior of a democratic head of state. The Gilets jaunes in France, ULEZ in London, working people protesting policy that hurt them. And how are they treated? They're called conspiracy theorists. They're called far right by the mayor as well. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is the voice of the voiceless. The real threat to democracy is from the elites. Now, don't get me wrong. We need elites. If President Biden has shown us anything, we need someone to run the countries. When the president has severe dementia, it's not just America that crumbles, the whole world burns. But let's examine the elites. European corporations spend over 1 billion euros a year lobbying Brussels. US corporations spend over $2 billion a year lobbying in DC. 2/3 of Congress receive funding from pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer alone spent $11 million in 2021. They made over $10 billion in profit. No wonder then that 66% of Americans think the economy is rigged against them for the rich and the powerful. And by the way, we used to have a word for when big business and big government were in cahoots. And I think any students here of early 20th century Italian history know what I'm talking about. What about big tech? Throughout the pandemic, Biden's team, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security colluded with big tech in censoring dissenting voices, not kooky conspiracy theorists. People like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the Stanford epidemiologist. People like Harvard scientist Martin Kulldorff. People spreading true information, not misinformation, true information at odds with the government narrative. Need I remind you, democracy without free speech is not democracy. This was a direct breach, by the way, of the First Amendment. Before COVID, intelligence services colluded with big tech to have Trump suspended off Twitter. Yes, the same platform which hosted the Taliban and Ayatollah deaf to Israel Khomeini, they thought the president crossed the line when he tweeted on Jan 6th, quote, "Remain peaceful, no violence, respect the law and our great men and women in blue." That's a quote. You may be thinking now that Trump is a populist. You are right. He didn't accept the 2020 elections, and he should have. So should Hillary in 2016, so should Brussels, and so should Westminster in 2016, and so too should Congresswoman Pelosi, instead of saying the 2016 election was, quote, hijacked. Quote, hijacked. Thank you.
We don't accept the results of it.
Okay. What about the mainstream media? Let me read you some mainstream media headlines. The New Yorker, the day before the 2016 election. The case against democracy. The Washington Post, the day after the election. The problem with our government is democracy. The LA Times, June 2017. The British election is a reminder of the perils of too much democracy. Vox, June 2017. The two eminent political scientists say the problem with democracy is voters. New York Times, June 2017. The problem with participatory democracy is the participants. Mainstream media elites are part of a class who don't just disdain populism, they disdain the people. If the Democrats had put half their energy into delivering for the people, Trump wouldn't even have a chance in 2024. He shouldn't have a chance. You've had power for 4 years. From the fabricated Steele dossier to trying to take him off the ballot in both Maine and Colorado, the Democrats are the anti-Democrat party. All we need now is the Republicans to come out as the pro-monarchist party. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is not a threat to democracy, but I'll tell you what is. It's elites ordering social media to censor political opponents. It's police shutting down dissenters, be it anti-monarchists in this country or gender-critical voices here, or last week in Brussels, the National Conservative movement. I'll tell you what is a threat to democracy. It's Brussels, DC, Westminster, the mainstream media, big tech, big pharma, corporate collusion, and the Davos cronies. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off ordinary people as deplorable. The threat to democracy comes from those who smear working people as racists. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off working people as populists. And I'll say one last thing. This populist age can be brought to an end at the snap of a finger. All that needs to be done is for elites to start listening to, respecting, and, God forbid, working for ordinary people. Thank you.
That's very dirty.
Mountain High Time, 2 hours of an organization to the madness, discussing the ever-changing dynamics of being both physically and mentally prepared for a plethora of possible outcomes to our future and present. A look into the latest technologies, new scientific discoveries, and how they might be used in connection to the human domain and controlling it, ancient cultures and places. Be warned. This is an opinionated look through headlines, guests that are not afraid to question the narrative, a little bit of crazy ramblings of a stoner conspiracy factist that pushes constitutional concepts. The place and the time are the same, another dimension we call Mountain High Time. Saturdays 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Mountain High Time, right here on Revolution.Radio, where information never sleeps and truth breaks the spell.
living in a single room with 3 other individuals. One of them was a male, and the other 2, well, the other 2 were females. God only knows what they were up to in there. And furthermore, Susan, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that all 4 of them habitually smoked marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the brakes, rocking the dough. Went to the park to get the scoop. Knuckleheads out there, cold shooting some hoop. A car pulls up, who can it be? A fresh El Camino rolling kilo G.
was living in a single room with 3 other individuals. One of them was a male, and the other 2, well, the other 2 were females. God only knows what they were up to in there. And furthermore, Susan, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that all 4 of them habitually smoke marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes. Smoke marijuana cigarettes. Marijuana cigarettes.
Shit, I'm tired as fuck. Come on, man, let's get the fuck home.
Oh, no, let's hurry up. I hate this neighborhood.
Nigga, tripping on me, yo, shit. Shit.
Just keep walking, don't turn around.
Here we go again. Hey, nigga, why you fucking with me?
Fuck you, nigga, 'cause I can.
strength of street knowledge.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube. From the gang called niggas with attitudes. When I'm called off, I got a sawed off. Squeeze the trigger and bodies all hauled off. You too, boy, if you fuck with me. The police are gonna have to come and get me off your ass. That's how I'm blowing out. For the fuck motherfuckers that's showing out. Niggas want the mumble, they wanna rumble. Mix them in, cook them in a pot like gumbo. Going off on a motherfucker like that. With a gat, that's pointed at your ass. So give it up smooth. Ain't no telling when I'm down for a jack move. There's a murder out to keep ya dancing. With a crime record like Charles Manson. AK-47 is a tool. Don't make me act a motherfucking fool. Me and you can go toe to toe, no mate. I'm knocking niggas out the box daily. Go weekly, monthly, and yearly. Until them dumb motherfuckers see clearly that I'm down with the capital CBT. Boy, you can't fuck with me. So when I'm in your neighborhood, you better duck. Cause Ice Cube is crazy as fuck. As I leave, I'll stop it. But when I come back, boy, I'm coming straight out of top.
Tell them where you from. Straight out of Compton. Another crazy ass nigga. Motherfucking smoke, yo, my rep gets bigger. I'm a bad motherfucker and you know this. But the pussy ass niggas won't show this. But I don't give a fuck, I'ma make my snaps. And I'm on the records from jacking the crops like burglary. The definition is jacking. But when I leave on the yard, it's gon' crack it. Shoot a motherfucker in a minute. I'll find a good piece of pussy and go a minute. So if you had a show in the front row, I'ma call you a bitch or a dirty ass hoe. You get mad like a bitch is supposed to. If that show me slut drunk and close to a crazy motherfucker from the street. Attitude legit, cause I'm tearing up shit. Any crank controls are automatic. If any dumb motherfucker, it's gon' static. Not a right hand, cause I'm a hand itself. Every time I pull an AK on the shot, the security is maximum, and that's wrong. R.E.N. spells red, but I'm wrong. See, cause I'm a motherfucking villain. The definition is clear, you're the witness of a killing. They stay in place without a clue. And once you're on the scope, your ass is through. Look, you might take it out of trip, but a nigga like Wayne is on the gangster tip, straight out of Compton.
Easy is his name and the boys coming.
Straight out of Compton is a brother that'll smother your mother and make you something I love her. Dangerous.